I think it probably contributed to, you know, his health issues. He painted the stealth bombers out of Palmdale, you know, when they were top secret. And he'd say to me, Mark, look at my arms. You know, I lived in Victorville and he lived in Palmdale, and we'd go back and forth, and he'd say, look at my arms, look at these designs on my arms. And I go, what the heck are you doing, man? And he goes, well, I'm painting something that's top secret, I can't tell you. You know, he wouldn't tell you, you know. Security of this country and what he was honored to do, he wasn't going to tell you. But he goes, yeah, I'm painting, you know, with this exotic paint, there's something that's top secret. And he did that for a lot of years. And, you know, that was no joke what he did. He'd get in, not just in the stealth bomber or the outside, he'd climb in, they'd put him inside the wings, and they'd give him some stuff to coat the inside of the wings, and they'd seal it all off, and he was on a respirator. Can you imagine being inside of a environment like that, and not being able to breathe, and being on a mask so you can breathe? But he'd be in there painting the stealth bombs. So he did that for several years too. Doug, towards the end, when Kelly and I went out and saw him in Ventura, Oxnard on the beach, man, he was living the dream. He was so proud of his life. You know, everybody's got their own opinion of what success is. You know, everybody's just different, you know. My opinion might not be Doug's, but Doug's opinion was Doug's. You know, everybody's got their own opinion, but Doug was really happy with his life. Everything that he was about, everything, you know, living on the beach, he was proud of his house. You know, he had a ranchero that he sold to one of the Krebs, you know, but he was proud of his ranchero. He was just proud of everything about him, which is good. You know, I was so happy. He was proud of his girlfriend, and just couldn't tell me enough good about how good his life was. You know, I was happy for him. But Doug's life was too short. You know, he had to die at 27 days shy of turning 60. And it was just kind of sad. And when Kelly and I went and saw him, we were aghast when he opened the door. I mean, it was like, wow, he had changed. But he was still a tough guy. I wouldn't tangle with him, you know. I did one time and he gave me 2 black eyes. And then I had to go back and work on the fire engine with 2 black eyes, you know. Everybody's like, what are you coming here to help me for? You know, you help, you know. Thanks a lot, Doug. But we did fight, you know. But I didn't want to fight with him too much because, you know, I'm the smaller version of him. So, even though I'm older, but yeah, he was a supersized version. So anyway. But in the end, he called me. He goes, hey, Mark, you know, asked me my opinion about different things, and you know, he even asked me about euthanasia. He goes, Mark, I'm in so much pain. I go, Doug, I'm not going to tell you what to do. You know, it's on you. You know, I would not tell you. I'll support you whatever you do, but I can't tell you what to do there. But he was in a lot of pain. He goes, Mark, I wish you could feel this pain for 5 minutes. I said, yeah, Doug, I'm sorry. I don't even want to feel it for a minute, you know. Fast, but he was in a lot of pain. I said, you know, if you do that, Doug, I don't think God will judge you on that, you know. I think God would know. Doug was a good guy. He just he had a good heart. And I'm going to miss him. I really liked who he became. I really liked him, you know. But anyway, I just want to say, on Doug's behalf, I know how important all you guys were. Everybody was to him. I just want to thank you all for coming here and showing your respect for him. And we're all going to miss him. And I just wish I would have spent more time with him. I do regret that. You know, you can't change things. But one thing I realize, and I don't have a lot of time left myself, but life is short. You know, make the best of it. You know, and you know, all the stuff that we do, you know, is not important compared to family and all the loved ones around you. You know, and that's the one thing you regret. And I kind of regret working so hard. You know, I wish I would have been more like Doug and enjoyed life more. You know, But yeah, we all do our, I feel successful, Doug was successful, and I think my dad and my grandpa knew you. They were all good role models, and I'm proud of Doug. So anyway, thank you all.
I hope I can get through this. There are few events we face with more apprehension than the funeral of someone we love. But at the same time, nothing more profound than the need to celebrate their life. Thank you for coming today to celebrate the extraordinary life of Doug Miller, a life well lived, and to say a final goodbye to a kind, down-to-earth man who has left an indelible mark on all of our lives. I had the great blessing of meeting Doug in 2017 at the Reagan Library, where I was a volunteer docent. Having Doug in my life was truly a gift, one that I will always cherish. He enriched my life, as I know he did for many of you here today. In Doug, I found a true friend, a shoulder to lean on, a source of endless laughter, humorous disagreements over football, and lots of memories. Doug had a way of making you feel heard, seen, and valued. His compassion knew no bounds. He had a decency and attention to kindness that defined a good life, and he was a joy to be around. I will miss his laughter, our endless conversations, especially about football and politics. Doug loved a good adventure and had a zest for life. He believed in making the most of every moment and taught me that it's not about how much time we have, but how we choose to spend it. He once said to me, "Time is the one thing we can't get back, so spend it wisely." We shared many great times together in Kauai, road trips, Utah, Vegas, cheering on the Rams at several football games, and a bunch of concerts. Doug loved each of those moments as if it were his last. He made life more vibrant and colorful. I really enjoyed working with Doug at the Reagan Library. He not only guarded the library, he was a sincere representative who genuinely cared about the legacy of President Reagan. He loved to talk politics, and we both shared a great love for President Reagan. Doug, like President Reagan, never seemed to tire of meeting people. He loved to tell stories, and he was always so eager to share a story about the legacy of President Reagan. There was a unique happiness in his life. He was very animated and always laughed heartily with a smile. His engaging and upbeat personality was so inspiring to me. Grateful is the word that comes to my mind when I think of Doug. Grateful that I had the opportunity to know him and be part of his life. In the weeks since Doug's passing, I have been reminded of a valuable lesson of how much one person can impact the lives of others. I am comforted in knowing that Doug is no longer fighting, and inspired and moved by how he managed it. He fought tirelessly in uphill battle, and he never quit trying. He spent many hours watching TV while recovering from chemo, and he would share with me all the shows he watched, as he loved the History Channel and all the historical war flicks. I often told him he reminded me of a soldier running through a battlefield, bombs going off all around him, knocking him down one after another, yet he kept getting back up, refusing to quit. But the days got tougher, and on January 31st, he let go. His battle was over, and he was at peace. I marveled at his strength, his courage, and his conviction. Doug was truly an incredible inspiration to me as he faced his battle with grace, courage. Despite his health setbacks, he never stopped living, learning, and giving of himself. He had a great love for his family, his brother, his sister, nieces, nephews, and of course, Matt, his best friend, who was there until the very end. He was fiercely loyal to him and to all his many friends here today. I learned a lot from Doug, how he lived his life, carried the burden of a terminal illness and the grace with which he knew when to let go. He was a faithful believer who lived his life in accordance with the instruction found in 2 Timothy chapter 4, verse 7. Doug fought the good fight. Doug finished the race, and Doug kept the faith. Even in his final days, in his quiet, subtle ways, he continued teaching me about his bravery, his grace, courage, and faith. He showed how a man so enchanted by life can be at peace at life's end. Doug's final journey into the sunset of his life was graceful and brave. In his final goodbye, he said to me that he hoped he was a good person and that heaven was as beautiful as he imagined. The two hardest things to say in life are hello for the first time and goodbye for the last. Doug has left a footprint in my life. I will forever miss the sound of his voice and his laughter. The pain of losing him is profound, and the void his absence leaves feels impossible to fill. But in the silence, I hear his laughter, his magical stories, and his words of encouragement. So today, we do not simply mourn the loss of a great man. We celebrate his wonderful 59 years of life and cherish the times that we all had with him. Farewell, Doug. I will carry you in my heart. I will remember you for the rest of my life until we meet again.
No notes?
Well, that's going to be hard to follow. Anyhow, thank you everyone for coming out today in honor of our brother Doug. And I'm going to do my best to get through this. Anyhow, big thank you. Matt, you put your life on hold for a brother. God bless you. God bless you. You are a true comfort and a love to our buddy. Anyhow, I'm going to tell a few funny stories about our brother Doug, and there were many because he was a goofy, funny guy. And give you a brief history of my life with Doug Miller. So, I will apologize up front for any colorful language, or if I get a little emotional, because this is tough. So, right before our country was thrust into World War II, my grandmother was admitted into Santa Monica Hospital. She was expecting my mom. In the same room was a young girl by the name of Doris Duvall. Doris was also expecting. And they became friends. And on January 29th, my grandparents welcomed my mom into the world. And on February 1st, Doris and Charles Duvall welcomed their little girl, Charlene, into the world. So my mom and Charlene, they shared birthdays together and went to elementary school during the war years. After the Japanese surrendered, my grandfather was discharged from the Navy and came home. And he moved the family across town. And they lost contact. Fast forward 30 plus years, I'm a little guy going to Walnut Grove Elementary School here in beautiful Simi Valley. I go to recess one day and there's this chubby guy with glasses, and he is the loudest guy, obnoxious, and he has got a mouth like a truck driver. And I'm thinking to myself, well, this guy's bigger than all of us, and if I don't make friends with him, I'm surely going to say something that warrants an ass kicking. So I better make friends. But before I could, this guy walks over to me and he says, "Who the hell are you?" And before I could get anything out, he says, "My name is Doug Miller. We're playing kickball. You're on my team. Don't suck." Or something to that effect. It was kindergarten. Anyhow, we were best of friends from that time forward. We lit firecrackers, we rode our bikes, we destroyed anthills, we took our green plastic army men, we divided the Nazis and the GIs. My old man would come in the backyard and say, "Boys, make sure that no GIs are hurt." And then we'd say, "Yes, sir," and he'd go, "Carry on." That was carte blanche to get the gasoline and matches. We would try the Nazis for war crimes, little Nuremberg, what we called it. We found them guilty and sentenced them to death, and they were shot with BB guns on the back wall. And I think back, and those were some of the best years of my life. I mean, we were innocent, we were babies, we were just little guys, and I won't, anyhow, I'll move on. So, Doug, about that time, my mom joined the PTA. And she ran into Doug's mom. Well, yeah, my son is Robert Smith, blah, 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 you know. Well, turns out that Charlene Miller was really Charlene Duvall. And Dolores Smith was really Dolores Bradford. So the two little girls that were born in that same hospital had reunited. And it sounds all Hallmark and everything, but the reality of it was I had another set of eyes looking at me all the time. So did poor Doug, because Dolores was a real pain. But anyhow, love you, Mom. Anyhow, Doug always managed to be on the hot seat for things he had little or nothing to do with. He was always in trouble. And it was always a great burn to me to watch him. You know, we loved burning each other, and it was great watching him get in trouble. Case in point. We were probably 10 or 11 years old, I think, and we were shooting slingshots in the backyard. And Mrs. Miller came out and said, "Okay, guys, put them up. Kelly's going to come out now and wants to swing on the swing set. You've had enough time." And Doug says, "Oh, Mom, let us shoot." "No, I don't want her getting shot, Doug. Hang them up." So, and I believe Tony Medley might have been there. He says he wasn't, but I think he was. But anyhow, we hung our slingshots up on the swing set. Well, Kelly came outside and got on the swing set, and then she was hanging from the slingshot. Well, the strap broke, and it snapped her in the arm. She fell to the ground and started screaming. From inside the house, I'm sure it sounded like Doug shot her. Mrs. Miller came running out of the back of the house with a broom and started chasing Doug around the back and beating him in the head with it. And he was going, "Mom, I didn't do it, Mom!" Poor Kelly could not come to his defense because she was injured and crying. And I didn't come to his defense because it was the funniest damn thing ever. It was a righteous burn, and I'm glad I took it. Fast forward about 5 years. We got our driver's licenses. And Doug called me up one day and he says, "Bob, we got to take our cars out on the track at Royal High School and play NASCAR." And I said, "That's a brilliant idea. We're doing it." So one night, with my little brother in tow, we got in our cars, me and my white Mustang, and Doug in his mom's blue Pontiac Grand Prix, the pride of the Miller family. We took him out on the track. We lined up facing west. My brother flagged us and we were off. Doug had me in the second turn, but failed to see the hurdles that were left out on the track the night before, and crashed into him with his mom's car. I heard the thud, I got out of my car, I see Doug in the headlights of his mom's car flailing around. I walked over and I said, "Oh my God." He goes, "Bob, my mom's gonna kill me. I'm gonna lose my license." "Shit, Bob, what am I gonna do?" "Shit."